The United States government is many things, but one thing it is a vast bureaucracy. The government of the United States is so complex and complicated that it requires many, many people at many different levels of the government knowing what's going on, coordinating with each other, so the right decisions are made at the right time in the right way. And even when we have the most brilliant, talented, dedicated civil servants in the government, mistakes are still made because we're human. But one thing we as Americans should know is who is in charge, who is making decisions, how are they being made? Is a process being followed? Well, I mean, we've known the answer to some of these things for a while now, but what is becoming increasingly clear, even to those who aren't paying attention or who are pretending they don't see the truth in front of their own eyes, is that when it comes to this government, the person who's supposed to be in charge is not in control of anything. We've learned that Pete Hegseth unilaterally decided, without consulting his boss and commander-in-chief, to put a hold on weapon delivery to Ukraine. That is, quite frankly, insane. There's a chain of command for a reason. People in the United States government, even the president of the United States, should not be able to make unilateral decisions ever without informing others about what's going on. But it is not even in the context of foreign policy, which is deeply dangerous, that there is no chain of command and there really is nobody in charge and there really is nobody who knows what is going on. We're seeing the same thing happening vis-a-vis the Trump regime's immigration policy. Donald has been contradicted by at least 4 people that I'm aware of in his administration just this week about his decision to cease raids on farm laborers and others in the service industries because CEOs of corporations in those industries were getting very upset because their workforce was being depleted and they were losing money. But it doesn't matter, apparently, what Donald says publicly about his own policies. His Secretary of Labor, his Secretary of Agriculture, a couple of Republican representatives in Congress, and others completely contradicted him. Why? Because he's not in charge, he's not in control, and they are listening to somebody else. And in this case, it's a Nazi named Stephen Miller. So that is the truth of where we are right now. And I could give you many other examples. I just want to make this point. This country does not work if the people ostensibly running it don't know what they're doing, don't know how to do it, and don't involve other people who actually do know what's going on and actually do know how to make decisions that will keep this country safe, that will keep this country fed, that will keep this country healthy, that will keep this country a democracy. That is where we are. We are leaderless, and we're in trouble. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is very good to be here with you. I am not at Mary Trump Media Studios, also known as my other room. Nope, I'm somewhere else. But it's still good to be here. Okay, a lot going on. So let's start. Today, Donald hosted leaders from 5 West African nations: Liberia, Senegal, Gabon, Mauritania, and Guinea-Bissau. He promised, because, It means so much when Donald Trump promises things. A shift from U.S. foreign aid to trade partnerships. He emphasized Africa's economic potential, praising the continent's natural resources and people. In stark contrast to derogatory comments he made during his first term, while he wasn't derogatory today, he was still offensive because he's him and he cannot be otherwise. But the fact that he, dialed things back a little bit suggests that he wants something. Take a look.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well. And
I hate it when he talks about himself that way. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, here's something that maybe he should have known ahead of time. Guess what the official language of Liberia is, Donald? It's English, you idiot. But look who he was talking to. He was talking to somebody from a country he considers a shithole nation. That's what Donald really thinks about people from Africa who happen to look different in a particular way. Everything this guy thinks, everything is framed from the perspective of his deep, deep racism. And again, I think it's important to make this distinction. Donald Trump isn't racist. He is a racist. He is a hardcore, unreconstructed racist who cannot fathom that somebody from Africa could speak English so beautifully. He is incapable of doing anything other than talking down to leaders of smaller countries, but again, especially countries in Africa. But Gabonese President Brice Oligui Nguema, and please forgive my execrable pronunciation, I apologize, he made a clear statement to the United States. If you won't invest in us financially, other countries will. That is a message that people should have been giving to Donald all along, especially with this tariff nonsense, and especially with the degree to which the United States has completely abdicated all responsibility to funding agencies like USAID and failing miserably to use soft power, leaving a vacuum the size of China, perhaps, that could be filled. So take a look at the Gabonese president's statement through an interpreter.
Our country is free, open to one and all. You are welcome to come and invest. Otherwise, other countries might come instead of you. Thank you.
He also emphasized that they are not poor countries. They're rich in resources, like raw materials. Despite Donald's condescension, which is repugnant, it is true. These are countries that should be taken seriously, or other countries like China with massive economies and a lot at stake will take advantage of our failures to recognize an opportunity that would help us and them. Instead, Donald continues with his, quite frankly, economically illiterate trade war games, which threaten our economic future. He doesn't understand negotiation. He doesn't believe in negotiation. His way of negotiating is to say, this is my position. This was what I want. I want everything that I want. And I want you to have nothing. And he never moves off of that position. Everything for him is and always has been a zero-sum game. That does not work when it comes to global economics. It does not work when it comes to trade partnerships. It does not work when it comes to foreign policy, which requires statecraft and diplomacy. The zero-sum game approach, quite frankly, doesn't work for anything, not really. And yet, that is how Donald approaches every aspect of his life and now his so-called job as President of the United States of America. do me a favor and just take a second. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube or rate and follow the podcast. Okay, so while Donald was meeting to, I was going to say, talk economics with African leaders, it was really more just to reveal what a repugnant racist he is and how completely ignorant he is still to this day about economic policies. It turns out that he was preparing to threaten more countries through the mail. I think that's a felony. Anyway, he built up this expectation that there was big news coming today, that he would be making 7 trade announcements. And basically all we got were more letters. So he essentially hyped as sweeping trade crackdowns, right? The deals that he forced these countries to make because he's such a tough guy. And instead, he just sent some letters about the tariffs to 7 small countries, including Libya and Moldova. He posted them earlier today on his failing social media site, saying that he was going to be hitting each country with 30% tariffs. Now, these nations represent a tiny, like a minuscule fraction of America's trade relationships. Economists say that even this move, though, could worsen inflation and not help create American jobs. One letter invited countries to, quote, participate in the extraordinary economy of the United States, unquote, right after the countries had been threatened with sanctions. Donald also claimed that we have trade balances with Brunei and Sri Lanka, and that these alleged trade imbalances are a quote-unquote national security threat. I'm not entirely sure how Sri Lanka, no offense to Sri Lanka, but I'm not entirely sure how Sri Lanka could pose a national security threat to the United States of America. Anyway, meanwhile, he has taken no action against major trading partners like the EU or China, just more bloviating, more smoke, no fire. But there's more, because there always is. In a stunning escalation, and this came, quite frankly, came out of left field, Donald just imposed 50% tariffs on all Brazilian imports, explicitly citing as his reason prosecution of his ally, Jair Bolsonaro. The letter, which was released at 4 p.m., reads in part, quote, this trial should not be taking place. It is a witch hunt that should end immediately, unquote. Yeah, because Brazil has every reason to listen to you, you psycho. For context, Bolsonaro is being prosecuted for orchestrating a coup attempt to remain in power after losing the 2022 presidential election to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Again, my apologies for my horrible pronunciation. That sounds familiar. A coup attempt. Didn't we have one of those? Oh, wait, no, you know what? We didn't have a coup attempt. We had a successful coup. So no wonder Donald is on the side of the guy who did exactly the same thing he did, but had the great misfortune of living in a country, Brazil, who takes such things seriously and thinks that leaders who incite and engage in coups against their own government should be held accountable. If only we had had a system of justice that was capable of such a thing. So Donald, as is his wont, might be trying to destroy our economy and our country. But thankfully, in some ways at least, the courts are acting as a last resort to stop him. The Supreme Court, which is an institution, I have to be honest with you, I hold in such great contempt. It is a contempt that increases daily. But today, a rare win, an increasingly rare win for immigration advocates when it comes to a controversial Florida law. It was recently passed targeting undocumented immigrants, preventing them, making it illegal for them to enter the state. The law explicitly made it a felony for certain immigrants to enter Florida. And it was passed in tandem with Donald's immigration bans and illegal deportations. Two migrants and immigrant right groups challenged the law, saying that the courts have been clear. This law is unconstitutional because immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. Well, not that that's working out very well, but it is true. The Supreme Court agreed with this reasoning, rejecting an emergency appeal from Florida to keep the law intact, leaving in place a lower court's pause on the law while it's being challenged. Wish they had done that with some other rulings the court has made recently. But that is a subject for another time. Donald's losing on immigration continues. There was a split inside of Donald's foreign policy team. I would say it's unbelievable, but it's not, because it's Donald's administration. So it makes sense that a catastrophic screw up like this would happen. So basically, a high stakes prisoner swap with Venezuela was derailed because they couldn't get their acts together. So over 80 political prisoners and 11 Americans are still behind bars. According to the New York Times, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Donald's envoy, Richard Grenell, pursued independently competing deals. They failed to coordinate, they failed to communicate, and they each offered different concessions to the Maduro regime. Now, it was Rubio who backed a swap involving 250 Venezuelan migrants detained in El Salvador. Grenell offered oil access via Chevron. So the confusion, which is to say the just breathtaking ineptitude here, left both efforts failing and exposed the Trump regime's willingness to use migrants as bargaining chips while denying they have any control over them. Despite Caroline Leavitt's claim that, quote, the president has one team, unquote, Venezuelan officials said they didn't know who actually spoke for Donald, and it shows, and therefore why? Why should any foreign country at this point trust anybody within the Trump regime, including and especially Donald Trump himself? All right. On that note, and we shouldn't trust him either, by the way. It's been a long day. So breathe, because it is time. It is time for the moment of the day I look forward to, our emotional support moment. It's Wednesday, which I'd forgotten, but it is. It's Wednesday. I'm still on Italy time, I think. I think that's part of the problem. So it feels like it's Thursday. So for today's emotional support moment, I want to take a look at humpback whales in one of my favorite places on the planet, Maui. I promise you, if it were closer to New York, I would live there. I love Maui so much. These humpback whales, they're spectacular. And this is a video of them doing one of what I think is one of the most extraordinary things in all of nature, because these things weigh tons, literal tons. And they do something called breaching. And that's when they launch themselves out of the water and crash back down. It's sort of like a cannonball, but one that has the density of a black hole. It's incredible. By the way, I was in Maui with my daughter. Wow, it's 10 years ago now. And we took the ferry from Lahaina on Maui over to a little island called Lanai. And while we were on the ferry, a pod of humpback whales started breaching right off the bow of the ferry. So I'm very much looking forward to this, because sometimes they literally will just keep doing it and doing it. I would love to know why. I wonder if it's like soothing behavior or if they're just showing off. I don't know. Impress mates, just have fun. No idea. But whales are smarter than we are. So I'm guessing it's for a really good reason. So let's watch this together. All right, I'm going with they're just having a total blast because that makes me happy. All right. Being in Maui, seeing that in person would also make me happy. But that was very cool. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I feel like my heart rate has slowed down, which is nice. Okay, let us get to your comments, questions, etc. Starting, Swaney, new member, welcome. It is wonderful to have you here. Thank you. Lilypad Ribbit, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Comment, the Supreme Court just allowed Donald to dismantle the federal government, and there's hardly any discussion of this in the corporate media. I know. I talked about it last night. It horrifies me. And because I think I've been trained to blame everything on the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court, because those 6 people have been responsible for so many horrors. I made the assumption that it was just them who made the decision. Okay, it's not a decision. It's a placeholder. But what they did is they put a stay on a lower court decision that blocked the Trump regime from firing tens of thousands of federal employees without cause, essentially. So what 8 of the 9 justices, including Justices Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor, did was they did 2 things. They allowed the firings to stand for the time being, and 2, they gave the executive branch even more power than they've already given it. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who continues to write for history and continues to be the one person on that bloody court who actually seems to understand what is happening to us, dissented as only she can and will. So yeah, it was a pretty devastating day yesterday, and there is hardly any discussion of it in the corporate media. So guys, check out. I'm working on a video about this because it is so very, very important. What has been done to the civil service and civil servants in this country should horrify all of us. The problem is most of us don't know it's happening, why it's happening, how it's happening, to whom it is happening, and what the consequences are going to be. So thank you for pointing that out. Todd, thank you so much, Todd. Appreciate it. Joanne, super sticker, Canadian in the house, elbows up. Thank you for that. I hope you guys are okay. I saw a poll from Canada saying that a majority of Canadians think that America is the greatest threat to Canada. These are the times in which we live. So I am so sorry. And you're not wrong. So I'm sorry about that too. Midas Cheryl in the house. Thank you. As always, gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. That is awesome. Midas Cheryl again. Thank you. It's like the tradition. It's the Midas Cheryl tradition. A gifted media membership and then a little gift, a fee, sorry. Happy to catch Mary live again fee. And it's a different kind of fee every time, which I truly appreciate. Stephen gifted 5 Meritron Media memberships. Stephen, that's awesome. So appreciate that. Thank you. Purple J, thank you so much for that. Comment, yay, they let Mary back into the country fee. Yeah, they did. And quite honestly, I never know. I'm prepared for all contingencies. White knuckling a little bit, but no issues. So far, he's busy. He's busy destroying other things, Ethan, I'm sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Gifted 1 Meritron Media membership. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I did that already. Sorry. I'm out of practice. Greg, thank you, Greg. That's awesome. Very kind. Question. Think this would be a good time for a foreign adversary to attack us? We have no chain of command. Well, yeah. yes. It would be. Yeah. But I think there are even smarter things that foreign adversaries could do. And quite frankly, what's that expression? Just give them enough rope to hang themselves. Like I think so many China, Russia are benefiting so much from the chaos and dysfunction. Like, they don't need to attack us. We're eating ourselves alive over here. There are other things I worry about, cyber attacks and things like that. But again, if I were them, stand back and enjoy the show. And swoop in. I mean, China is swooping in where we're leaving the void, and this is not going to end well for us. But hopefully, it's not going to last too long, but there's no way to know at the moment. Matt, comment. Yes, they're smarter than us. They that did not vote for Donald Trump. Yeah. Kate, whales breach to let others know of nearby predators. Really? Oh, wow. Are they also having fun while they're doing it? That's fascinating, and it makes a lot of sense. Suki56, new member. Awesome. Thanks, Suki56. Susan, moderator extraordinaire, gifted 5 Meritron Media memberships. Susan, thank you. That's incredible. Thank you. And also, thank you for everything you do in general. Magnificent Lies, one of my favorite handles. Member for a month. Thank you so much. Comment, ChatGPT says well breaching equals communication, skincare, flirting, and fun. Nature's cannonball. See? They're so smart. It's like one thing it's like all synonyms. That's very cool. Jules plays Taps for Vets. Thank you so much, Jules, as always. Comment, kind of a dichotomy to have Marine Station in California helping ICE while Mexico is helping in Texas. What the hell? Yeah, thank you for pointing out that glaring horror, because it's true. It's so un-American and vile. I don't know what else to say about it, but it's a very good thing to point out. So thank you. Pink Nightmare, member for a month. Thank you so much. Comment, woohoo. Okay, woohoo indeed. Oh, that's it. Awesome. Short show tonight because it's been a travel day. So thank you for bearing with me for that. But I will be back tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for a regular show. And just want to thank everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and my Substack, The Good in Us, everybody who's listening to the podcast. Thank you to all of our new members. It is so wonderful to have you here, to our super stickers and people giving us gifts as always. We so appreciate you. We could not do this without you, and we wouldn't do it if it weren't for you. So thank you. To my amazing moderators. We appreciate all of you so much for the work you do to keep this community thriving. And of course, to my extraordinary team for being extraordinary and for dealing with my ridiculous schedule. It has not been easy because on top of that, I don't know if you've noticed, but the world has lost its mind. And yet these guys handle it like the pros they are. So my appreciation to them, and I hope you show them your love as well. Okay, that does it. Please don't forget that we have videos dropping every day. One of the easiest ways to support us is watch those videos, share them, like them, comment on them. It really, really helps us. You know, we're trying to grow, and every little bit helps. So thank you for that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, please, everybody, stay safe and be kind. Bye.